evening. Welcome to the Town of Dudley Planning Board meeting for Wednesday, December 13th, 2023. I'd like to make a notice that the meeting is being recorded and start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on our agenda this evening is approval of minutes from October 25th and November 8th. I think we're going to push those out of order until we get Mr. Edmiston here, so we can make sure that we can vote on all of them. A&R plans. No A&R plans. We have a 7:15 public hearing coming up. You think we have enough time to go over the CBA issue, Bill, in 10 minutes? Or?
No.
Can we take up the town council opinion? Do we get that right?
Yeah, that's a quick one. You may recall that there was a question of whether a member could rescind a vote on a site plan that they had previously approved in the light of some new information coming up that wasn't available at the time of the application. And so the board decided to make the request to town council for an opinion as to whether a member could actually rescind a vote, and if so, what would be the effect of that rescission. And town council said that no, a member cannot change a vote once they've done so, and that if there was a problem with the decision and that they're violating a term of the special permit, then there's an enforcement provision which falls to the building commissioner to enforce the decision. But once the planning board has made its decision, it's sort of out of the picture and doesn't have a role in overseeing, you know, or
Enforcing it.
evaluating the project in a new way. So, therefore, in light of that opinion, that site plan approval for DMA Holdings will stand as was written by and approved by the planning board.
Did we get a copy of that in writing from the?
Yes, I believe I sent it to the board. It was an email.
It's in the folders.
Oh, it is? What tab is it?
It's under new business, and it's right before the short-term rental.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, the next item we had was the short-term rentals. Is that a quick agenda item, or is that a long agenda item?
That's a quick one.
Okay, so we keep that one up?
Okay. So the Central Mass Regional Planning Commission has done a study of short-term rentals, and they studied the existing situation in the region, analyzed a lot of data about how many of them are there and which towns have adopted regulations to oversee that kind of use. And they issued a report on this matter, and they've are available to any town who wants to take it up and perhaps adopt a bylaw to regulate this land use. And Monday evening, with the Board of Selectmen, the Planning Board had been invited, and CMRPC is going to give this presentation that I've copied for you. It's in your binder so that you have a chance to look it over before the meeting. And essentially, these are uses like Verbo and Airbnb. They are now required to register with the state, and the state has a way to tax them for as a portion of their revenue. And communities can do the same through a local option. They can adopt an impact fee of some kind to collect revenue and provide an oversight function of that use. These can be regulated by zoning bylaws or by general bylaws. So Monday evening with the selectmen, the two boards will discuss, A, should we have a bylaw to regulate this use, and which of these two methods would work best in Dudley. So as a zoning bylaw, you can specify zoning districts where they're permitted, whether by right or by special permit, and which board, most likely the planning board, would have jurisdiction over that use. So there's a grandfathering provision so that any existing short-term rental would be grandfathered and not subject to the zoning bylaw. Or you can do it as a general bylaw, in which case the selectmen, as the licensing authority in town, would be responsible for these uses. And so there would be a license that could be issued for any existing and proposed short-term rental operation, and require inspections by building officials, Board of Health people, fire departments, et cetera, to make sure that they're brought up to code and are safe for rental use by people who want to go there. So those are the two main options for consideration Monday evening with the selectmen. So we don't need to go over it now because you're
Right.
here with us Monday night, but you might want to look it over if you have the chance, just to
So this is-
familiarize yourself with.
This is gonna be the, December 18th, Monday, December 18th.
Yes, at 6:30 on Monday evening.
Do they both have to go through the town meeting process? I know the planning board would have to go for zoning, but
Yes,
the
it would
general
have to
bylaw
be.
would have to too?
Yes. The general bylaw would go to town meeting, that's a majority vote. A zoning bylaw, usually 2/3.
And you said that there was currently in Dudley 3 or 4 of these?
I think there are 6.
Or 6,
Yes.
okay.
Are they getting taxed by the state right now? Yeah.
So if the town would adopt a bylaw, we'd be able to get revenue from those as well.
Same thing as like a hotel tax?
Yes.
Still have a few minutes.
So
Dropping-
just to back up, one of the pages here says that there's a mass room occupancy tax of 5.7%. Cities and towns are permitted to charge a local room occupancy tax of up to 6%. And then there can be a community impact fee of 3% if an operator has more than one property. So it could be, so there's enough revenue here for the town to do its inspections and whatnot to cover its costs.
So the information from Central Mass Regional Planning, do they already have the draft bylaws outlined in all
They
this?
have models of each.
Okay.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be very hard to compose this.
Right.
Yeah.
They've done a very good job, with the bylaws, just a matter of, tweaking it to meet local needs.
And other towns are accepting it as,
I'm not sure, we can ask that on Monday night.
thanks for that information. Um, Let's see, if we jump down to standard business, discussion, status report on finishing construction of and acceptance of unaccepted subdivision streets, including Pierpont Estates, Rocky Hill Estates, Country View Estates, Eisenhower Drive, Tobin Farms Estates, and Lyons Estates and so forth. Do we have anything on any of those
Well,
subdivisions?
we've had some more discussion on Eisenhower and the sewer pump station.
Okay.
The sewer department is really anxious about getting the improvements made there. So they are currently in the process of getting some quotes for what it would cost to bring that station up to town standards. As you know, you've tried repeatedly, and the developer isn't willing to really work with us on this, so
But we still have some money left in the account.
we have about 10,000 left, and I'm pretty sure that's gonna be enough to cover the cost of the work that needs to be done.
But not necessarily enough to get the as-built plans completed and the road accepted. Okay, so we
So-
would have to go the betterment route on that.
It depends really how much it's gonna cost, if, I don't think there's a lot of work necessary to finish the road to bring it up to town standards. But we do need to get the as-built plans, which, could be 5,000 to 10,000, so I don't think we can have enough to do everything. So it's a question of how do we make up the difference? And we can go the betterment route, which, is a very formal process, but it's a small amount of money when you spread it out over.
Right, and there's quite a few houses there. So we would need to invite the residents of that cul-de-sac in.
Right. So,
Okay.
yeah, we may decide to bring that forward this year. You can bring that up with the selectmen on Monday if you wanted to.
Okay, sounds like a plan. And nothing on any of the other subdivisions in that grouping?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Edmondson.
My apologies for being late, Mr. Chairman.
worries.
My hour and 15-minute commute turned into 2 hours, so.
Not a worries. All right, so we're gonna, we have a public hearing at 7:15, so we're gonna go ahead and open that public hearing. And I will read the notice. Dudley Planning Board, public hearing, legal notice, Dudley Housing Authority parking site plan. In accordance with the provision of section 5.04 site plan review, the Dudley zoning bylaw, the Dudley Planning Board will hold a public hearing on an application of the Dudley Housing Authority for major site plan review for parking improvements at the Joshua Place Housing Development located at 22 Joshua Place, Dudley, Mass. The hearing will open at 7:15 p.m. on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, in the Dudley Municipal Complex, room 321A, 71 West Main Street, Dudley, Mass. This project consists of resurfacing an existing paved parking area and the installation of 10 additional parking spaces and related stormwater improvements. The site plan was prepared by Graves Engineering, 100 Grove Street, Worcester, Mass. Dated October 11th, 2023. The site is in Light Industrial 43 District and the Business 15 Overlay District. The property is listed as Assessor's Map 122, parcel number 5. Copies of the plan and application are in file Planning Board office and in the Town Clerk's office, both of which are located in the Dudley Municipal Complex, 71 West Main Street, Dudley, Mass. The Planning Board will receive public input at the hearing. If you wish to comment but are unable to attend, you may submit written comments to the Planning Board office or via email to planner1@dudleyma.gov before 4:30 p.m. on December 12th, 2023. Guy Horn, Chairman, and it was advertised in November 24th and December 1st newspaper. Okay, we have that. Okay, so we'll open the public hearing. Do we have someone here to explain the plans? Hi.
Hello, my name is Kate Creighton. I'm with Graves Engineering, representing the Dudley Housing Authority tonight. And I'm presenting to you the Joshua Place pavement improvements for site plan approval.
Olivia, maybe you could sit at the table there and use that microphone.
All right. If we first look at sheet 102,
Sheet.
102, Joshua Place is currently in
Behind you, Guy?
Is that the only screen we can get to work?
Let me see if we can get this other TV.
Joshua Place is an existing 80-unit elderly development with multiple buildings, parking areas, and a driveway. Then at sheet 104. If we go to sheet 104, 104, grading. The project proposes resurfacing the existing parking area and installing 10 additional parking spaces. The resurfacing improves existing condition and centralizes the handicapped accessible parking spaces. No new drainage patterns are created. This follows what is already existing. The new parking area is designed to keep the runoff from the driveway in the driveway and directs runoff from the new parking spaces into the infiltration basin. The basin was designed to attenuate the runoff from the parking area and comply with Mass DEP stormwater management standards. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Where are the new 10 spots that you're creating?
The, that one. You can't see the spinner. At the top of the plans, yes, the ones at the very top. Those are the 10 additional parking spaces that would be created.
Right in front of the detention basin?
Yes.
So these are,
Yes, those ones up there.
Are they adding any lighting for this, or?
No additional lighting is proposed. No waivers were requested.
Bill, we had sent this out to another engineer for their review.
yes.
We got a letter back from them.
Yeah, so we had Quinn Engineering do the peer review. There were some minor issues that they found. The letter went to Olivia, who
Back to
then
Graves.
corrected those issues. Went back to Quinn, who then sent a second peer review saying everything that they had been satisfied. So there were no really outstanding issues as far as the peer review goes on this project.
Any other questions from the board?
I'd like to hear any public comments first, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Do we have anybody from the public that would like to speak on this matter? I don't think we have any public comments.
Okay. Just a couple of questions. Where the 10 new parking spots are, you said there's no lighting. Is there any lighting in the area?
Currently no street lighting was proposed. That is already an area that is frequently traveled.
In the area that's being repaved, is there any lighting there?
Go back to the existing sheet. Can go back to. If we go back to sheet 101, we can
101.
see the existing conditions. Yes. Then if we zoom in, just zoom
Looking for
in.
streetlights, or any kind of pole lighting?
Yes, that one, that right there is an existing light pole.
So they're working around the existing light poles instead of adding new, correct?
Yes, no new lights are proposed.
And then, between the new parking areas and the catch basin, that's a relatively steep slope, there's no retaining wall or anything being planned there?
There is no retaining wall being proposed.
What's the grade on that slope?
The proposed slope at the infiltration basin is a 2-to-1 slope, or a 3-to-1, I apologize.
Is there curbing on the parking places so that the cars can't jump over the?
Yes, and on the proposed parking spaces, the backs and sides of the parking spaces are curbed except for a section that allows the runoff to flow into the infiltration basin.
I hate to do this to you, Bill, but can you go back to 104? And then zoom in on that catch basin? Yeah, the detention pond, excuse me. And then put it down a little bit. So there's only a 4-foot elevation difference roughly between that and the bottom of the catch, or the detention pond.
Yes, where the riprap stone is proposed, that is at a 543 elevation, and the bottom of the pond is at 540, 3 foot.
Any concerns about snow being pushed into the detention area?
No, no more noted, no.
And this last question is, we have a crosswalk in front where the area is being repaved. There's no crosswalk leading to the 10 new parking spots?
No, there,
Reason for that?
none was proposed because this was already an existing one, wasn't necessarily required, but we can add another if the board requests it.
Good, Mr. Chairman.
Any questions from the board?
There's a couple of recommendations in the peer review report. I can read those. On page 3 of the Quinn letter dated December 6th, pertaining to the stormwater issue number 5. He says it is possible that field testing could reveal information which requires revisions to the design of the infiltration basin to accommodate unanticipated soil conditions. On this small basin, any required changes are not likely to be substantial. If the Dudley Planning Board wishes to consider this request, it is recommended that site plan approval include a condition which requires that soil testing and design verification be completed prior to commencement of construction, and soil test results in the infiltration basin design be independently verified by this office. So if we vote to approve this, I would recommend we put those conditions.
Is that the only one that they recommended?
Yes.
That was just basically a soil sample for that area.
What's that?
It was basically just that they do a soil sample for that area and check it out to see what kind of soil's there. They may have to replace, if it's not good soil, they may have to replace it with septic sand or something. Okay. Any other questions?
Is everything being proposed ADA compliant?
Yes.
So we'll close the public hearing at 7:27. And would somebody like to make a motion with the condition that Bill just mentioned about the soil evaluation? Yeah. We could word it that, make a motion to approve the Dudley Housing Authority parking improvements with the conditional approval, pending the soil testing that was recommended by Quinn Engineering, something similar to that.
Yeah, I don't think they were.
Could I recommend to amend that slightly? The first point on the review meeting says, the Dudley Housing Authority is actively working with the owner of the neighboring lot to create a mutual easement. I think we should add that into the approval as well. If there's no easement, then they're missing some areas that they need, shipping containers, dumpsters, and a retaining wall. Would be my recommendation.
Okay.
So moved, okay, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, unanimous? Okay, so there's gonna be two conditions, the one that we spoke about earlier, the soil testing for the detention basin, and the ones that Mr. Edmiston just mentioned, the getting the easement with the neighbor on the, what'd you say there was,
Trash retaining wall, or something else. Shipping container, I think.
Existing retaining wall, shipping containers, and dumpsters.
get the easement for those 3 items. Okay? And we'll have that written up so we can sign it off?
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me, Guy, who made the motion and who seconded?
David made the motion, and Mr. Chinaki seconded it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's go back to the beginning of our agenda, that we had to skip a few things because we had so let's go back to the approval of the minutes. So we have minutes to approve from October 25th meeting and November 8th meeting. Has everybody had a chance to take a look at those minutes? And would somebody like to make a motion? So we have some people missing on certain meetings. So let's see, the first one, October 25th, I believe. Who was present? October 25th, members present, Mr. Edmondson, Mr. Durgan, Mr. Chinaki, you were absent that one, so we would have to vote at the 3 of us.
And Mr. Chairman, I can make a motion that we accept the minutes for the October 25th meeting as presented.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous with us 3. Okay.
I was out on the
There's-
8th, so I can't sign,
Yeah,
I can't vote on
there's
that.
2 copies right here, I'm gonna sign them and pass them around. Okay, so the next meeting minutes we have is from December 3rd, oh, excuse me, November 8th. November 8th, and present at that meeting, we had Mr. Clark, Mr. Durgan, and Mr. Chinaki was 5 minutes late, but he was here, so I think you can vote on this one. Somebody like to make a motion for the November 8th meeting?
I'll make a motion to accept the November 8th meeting.
So we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye, unanimous with us 3?
I have to abstain, because I wasn't here, right?
Yep.
Who seconded that one?
Mr. Durgan? Okay.
There's 2 minutes left.
So if you could sign those 2. This is the same copy. In this folder and give them to Bill. Okay, so the minutes are taken
Yep.
care of.
I'm gonna take one of these and pass it down.
So the next item we have on our agenda is a referral from the Zoning Board of Appeals, comments on a 5-lot common driveway plan on Old Southbridge Road owned by Cabot Realty. Do we have anybody here present tonight for Cabot Realty? Okay.
I'm Steve Watrobe, I'm here representing the ZBA tonight. We had a meeting last Thursday where the applicant came before us with a special permit request for a common driveway to serve 4 lots. And he brought in the A&R plan that you see before you. And during our discussion, we had decided that because originally this was brought to the planning board back in July, you guys at that time made some recommendations for some changes you wanted to see. Their engineer made those changes, and this was brought back before you in August and approved. The way the plan is, as you see before you, is how it was approved, which is 2 common driveways were to be added, and each one of those 2 common driveways was gonna pick up 2 lots each. And what the applicant, who's come before the ZBA, who's here tonight, came to us with a change in the plan where there's an existing driveway that's shown on the plan, and what he would like to do is he would like to forego the construction of the 2 new common driveways, use the existing driveway to come in and service all 4 of those lots.
Yeah, you might want to refer to the screen. It's this area here, the existing driveway, sort of on the north end of the plan.
And in addition to the 4 new lots from the A&R, there's a lot on that plan to the left that says McKinstry. My understanding is I think there's a new owner there now, but that lot is a lot that's not owned by the applicant, but the owner of that lot has been using that existing driveway apparently for so long that even though there's no easement to be found on record, that's been described as a prescriptive right. So the net effect would be that if the ZBA were to approve this permit, the single existing driveway would have to be servicing a total of 5 lots. Because this is such a drastic change from the original plan as the planning board saw it back in August and approved it back in August, I made the recommendation, and my fellow board members agreed, that we would like to have the planning board just take a look at it and give us some consultation on what their thoughts are. The board, I drew the short straw since I opened my big mouth. They decided I would be the one to have to come back here and state the reason why it's coming back to you guys. So we did talk about, if we were to move forward with it, the pros and cons of it. There were several residents in attendance that evening from the area. Some of them are here tonight. One of the things about this property is that the grade at the road is quite steep. So it would be very difficult to get, if not impossible to get to the 6% standard that we have here in town. So the thinking would be, it might actually be safer for traffic on that road if we allowed the common driveway to serve all 5 of those lots, because you'd only have one location where traffic would be entering and exiting the road there. The board talked about that if we were to move forward with an approval, we would probably put some conditions. One of the conditions we thought about was having them improve the grade as much as they could at the road of the existing driveway, and also widening the existing driveway to take into account the higher probability of instances where vehicles might end up passing each other, because now if you're going to be servicing 5 houses, it's a higher probability you might be coming home when someone else is leaving, or delivery van or whatever. And then also one of the things we talked about was we would probably stipulate some sort of a driveway agreement, driveway maintenance type of agreement, so that it would be very clear to the owners of those lots that they would share the cost of snow plowing and any occasional maintenance that might be required, that sort of thing. So that's where we stand as far as the ZBA's thinking is.
Do we have any, so I'm looking at the plan here and I don't see any specifications on the current driveway, so we don't really know what the slope or grade of that driveway is or what the width of it is. It's 20%.
Well, that's what I was talking about. The existing driveway, what they're talking about using is they're talking about using that existing driveway. So we're saying, okay, if you want to use the existing driveway to service all the lots, then we would like to see the grade improved on the existing driveway, the width of the driveway increased, and then once you have a plan showing the entire driveway, there would have to be some sort of a maintenance agreement. So you don't have people arguing over who.
Do we know if that's even possible? Did their engineer do a survey of the current driveway to tell us if this is is it possible? Do they have large fall offs?
All the ZBA has seen is what is before you. So,
Am I understanding this correctly, that we're using this driveway, and we're cutting across here to service the other houses?
that's our understanding, but like I said,
These two are gonna be, they're not gonna be built, they're gonna be, basically, that plan to build those is gonna be abandoned.
so what I would like at this point is, since the applicant is here, maybe he could come up and he could put it in his own words, just so we have it on the record and that it's clear exactly what he's asking for.
Evening, Bob Kuchar from Kebab Realty. So basically, after we got our subdivision approved and recorded, we started work up there renovating a house, and walking around up there, we're looking at the grades and especially the lot on both sides of the new driveway. I mean, that thing would take a lot of the privacy away from those folks. And the existing driveway already serves 4 houses. So it had the workshop, it had the main house, it had the second house, and then it had, I think, Hernandez. All those people were using that driveway right now. So we're adding one more.
You have 4 and then you're
Yeah.
adding another.
No, add one more. Yeah,
Total of 5.
right.
So do you have any specifications on the current existing driveway?
We don't. I mean, there was some, those are the cuts, the elevation cuts. We have that with the drawing, I know, but I didn't have land planning do that as at this point, because I didn't know what was gonna come from the meeting. We were looking at this for safety reasons, the impact on the environment, cutting all those trees down on both sides, and adding 2 more driveways in a 400-foot span that would have 4 driveways in it. And it was just because we're up there working, and you go back and you look at this thing and you say, there's gotta be a better way. Is there another way? And we were just thinking of everyone involved.
You own this existing driveway?
Pardon me?
You own this existing driveway?
Yes.
So you have no problem with that Mackenzie guy using your driveway?
No, it is what it is. I mean, they've been there forever, right? And they have no deeded access, but we're assuming that they're using it, we let them use it.
So would you, everything that Mr. Wetruba just mentioned in his comments prior to your taking a seat, the widening of the current driveway, the trying to improve the slope of the current driveway, and then making some kind of agreement with all parties involved that's a common driveway and that it would be maintained.
I have no problem with that. As long as it's not prohibitive financially. I mean,
It's gotta be cheaper than
there's still
building-
an offset to what we would be doing, right?
It's gotta be
And-
cheaper than building 2 more driveways.
Well, I agree, and I have no problem with that, and the other part is that, we own all the land. So we could put, let's call it a driveway association in, and the only people that we really don't have any control of are the Hernandezes.
But if you're willing to give them,
Well, he does all the work, from what I understand, he does them all now. He does a lot of the work up front, because he's been living there for, I don't know how many years now,
okay,
but,
but if you're willing to give them access over that driveway, then.
oh, yeah, we already do. It's a given.
I think it's a reasonable proposal, but I think we need to have something in writing from an engineer to tell us what's possible there. Like, how much can you improve the grade, if any? How much wider can you make the driveway, if any?
There's plenty of room.
Okay.
There's plenty of space out there.
All right, so
It's just the slope that we know is really steep at this point.
so we need your engineer to go out and take a look at the existing driveway and give us something in the form of a plan that says the slope could be improved by 2%, or it cannot be improved, and we could widen it to 18 feet or 20 feet, whatever, you know. I think minimum is 18 feet to get two cars to pass. So if you could widen it to 18 feet or 20 feet so you could have two cars passing, then, yeah, and you were willing to do the legal agreement for all parties involved, I mean, I can't speak for the whole board, but I think it sounds pretty reasonable to myself. Can you come up to the table, please, and speak?
Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm Lizette, one of the owners. Our biggest concern was safety, because we do have children, one of them is here, and they take the bus at the end of that road. So with the traffic, we don't know how many cars are gonna be coming and going. Like you said, it's not all that wide, it doesn't have any sidewalk or anything, you know, where we can keep the children safe. That's my biggest concern. Like, I don't wanna stop or try to, you know, prohibit anything from going on. Like you said, it's your part of the,
Well, if
you know.
If we put the second driveway in, which is here, this one over here, it's gonna be 50 feet away from the other one. So you're still gonna have all that, the same amount of cars are coming down that area.
I'm sorry, I'm Wilfredo Hernandez.
Come on up.
Construction-wise, trucks going in and out,
Now,
That's only for construction, yeah.
we're doing
you know,
work up there.
the kids are there like every morning, taking the bus at 8 o'clock in the morning. I lived it just past summer now. I was cleaning the rocks of the trucks going in and out when he was rebuilding the new house that he did. And, you know, that's a concern to me with the kids, just, you know, safety-wise.
I don't know how to answer that. I mean, there's trucks going in and out of there delivering product, and, I mean, the safety-wise, they should be aware of what they're doing.
And that's the only entrance and exit?
Right now,
you have?
that's the only one.
Yeah. See, from what I understand, when we bought the house off of the McKinstry's, they had an entrance on the Curtis Road, but because they were forced to put the septic tank in order to sell us the house in that area, they informed us that the town of Dudley does not allow a driveway to be on the premises of where the septic tank is at. So now it blocked us off. So if we got blocked off here and we got blocked off here, there's no way that we're gonna get into our property.
But is there, I understand that you can't use that as a driveway, but could the kids walk down that area
Well,
and go
the
to the
bus picks them up on the 124, you know, right there in the corner. Or, like I said, our biggest thing is just keeping them safe.
Oh,
But
I
we can
agree,
find a
yeah.
way, like you said, if you're gonna widen it up, if you're gonna find ways, you know, especially in the winter and the ice, that gets slippery. So many times those kids have slipped all the way down to the bottom. If there's a car coming,
No, but for the mean, when they're breaking the pavement or doing anything, where the kids are gonna stand to take the bus?
well, we can work around. But,
Or
yeah,
travel, you know?
I mean, it's
Yeah, that's,
literally
I'm not
our
making it a
driveway.
big deal, I'm just saying, you know, just.
yeah, no, it is, that's why you want me.
You got an existing driveway already on the other road?
We don't.
There is, no.
We don't, and that's the problem we have.
Take a note when they put the new septic
Yeah, but
system.
you can always drive over a septic tank, you just get the bigger cover on top.
I always said, you know, when we bought the house, that it said that it was a shared driveway.
So that's
We
what
understood
just
that,
did
but they didn't,
believe
you
it.
know,
We
specify.
didn't, yeah, we didn't know the whole,
But it wouldn't it be shorter for the kids to walk to the other street to get the bus? I mean, like, we could talk to the school department for you.
No, it would, but right now, there's like the septic
No,
and
but-
there's,
no, that's what he's saying, that if they could make a way to,
Pick 'em
the
up
kids will
on
be
Curtis
safer on
Road.
this side instead of on
Yeah, I
this
mean,
side.
if it's safer for the kids, there's gotta be a school bus going down Curtis Road, so we could,
right, but there's no physical, you know, besides
Well,
if there's
they
snow,
will
there's
have
no
to make
physical
it.
way to get there.
Right now, it's all mush and, because the land is still soft and everything
And
there.
there's trees and stuff.
Yeah,
So there wasn't a, previous to the septic system being installed, there wasn't a driveway there?
There's an entrance there open right now,
there was, but they
but
closed.
it's up in the hill and the septic is right there.
Yeah. They took away a lot of the land, the available land that we had on this side of the house from us because of the septic. It's like the septic tank starts over here, but then you have a whole bunch of just like pipes and whatever, like just
Alright,
going
so
down
if
the
you
line.
look at this picture right here, okay, number 10 is our land, and 10 and 11, right?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So that's Curtis Road. So on that entrance where it says the 8310, on the left corner, yeah, there's an entrance right there that's supposed to be an entrance, but it's all like, right now, there's like nothing, it's just a cut, open spot.
Which building is actually your house over there? I see 1, 2, 3, 4.
The one closer to 11.
Closer to 11, to the right, that building right there, yeah?
That's the house?
That's the house right there.
So, I mean, you're talking, the kids would have to walk 500 feet to get
Yes.
to the bus.
Yes.
Okay.
But, yeah, that's, you know, if we can come up with a way, that's my biggest concern, it's just them.
So the road goes right in front of the house, all the way down towards his property. And that's where the kids catches the bus on Old Southbridge Road. 124 Old Southbridge Road.
Yeah, so that's, yeah, it would change, we open over there, it would change everything for us on that end. But when we bought the house, we bought it as 124 Old Southbridge Road.
So if you're gonna go through the, if you're gonna go through the expense of widening and trying to re-slope the existing driveway, would you be agreeable to putting in a sidewalk on one side for the kids to use to go down to the street to catch the bus every day? And it could be a 4-foot sidewalk, asphalt.
So it would just run along the driveway?
Run along the driveway, but there'd be a berm or something.
What I think,
About the crushed stone, like, on Mr. Watrober's subdivision there.
Might be better, crushed stone or something.
Hello, my name's Art Valley. I work for Bob. As doing a lot of building in the town in the past and solving a lot of problems for different people and stuff, I see it as we're gonna widen that out to the right, make the Ds come up a little, much less than 20% that the gentleman's talking about. I don't believe that myself, as what I know, that's 20%, but we'll let an engineer figure that out. But where their mailboxes are now, everybody's mailboxes can be reconfigured, and we can cut that back, and then the kids can stand off to the left of the driveway and still have a much better space we'll make for them, and we'll improve the area for everybody's mailboxes to go.
And also the trash, that's another thing, because if you're adding more,
Again, where the mailboxes are currently, we can open that up and cut that back and make room for their trash barrels, and it's not a big deal, it really isn't. It's a easy fix
Could you
for
get-
everybody.
Get something drawn up that you can show to us?
Let me talk to Brian Hill and Norman, and I'll see what they can do for us. Okay?
I think we need to see something on paper.
The other concern would be police, fire, and EMS services.
Right.
I think it would be helpful to get comments from those departments as to
Well-
which of these options.
One thing I just noticed, I'm driving through Sutton a lot, there's a lot of houses when you get around Manchog Lake and stuff, there's a lot of common driveways, and what they do in Sutton is they put a sign up right at the bottom of the driveway, and it says what addresses are on that driveway.
Absolutely.
So if you could think about maybe doing something like that, where you put in a metal
We've
sign.
already talked about it.
Yeah,
There's
so-
something coming now because there aren't enough lots. We went to the assessor, and there aren't enough
House numbers.
house numbers in order to
work.
make it work. So after the first of the year, they're gonna be handing out new numbers to make it work.
But that may be something you wanna think about, having a sign that's.
There'll be
you
a
know,
sign down there as well, showing the lots, the configurations of what number they are. For fire, EMS, and everybody else is, yes.
I noticed when I drove drove through Sutton just a couple weeks ago that they were actually putting some of those signs up at some of the new houses, so.
So do we bring this to the ZBA or to you guys or both or?
Well, I think you get a plan and bring it and present it, give it to both,
Okay.
both departments, and then we can bring it back up and talk about it, and if everybody's in agreement and the abutters are in agreement, then I think we can make it work.
I think, I mean, from our point of view, we have an option already to do this. We just think that this is a better way. It's a better and a safer way.
Have you heard of Richard Jolder? I'm a butter across the street.
Across the
From
street,
the existing driveway.
okay?
I really, been living there for 40 years, and I'm not really used to the change of having, extra traffic across the street. And I know progress is progress and all. I was just, for consideration, since you had already approved 2 driveways, additional driveways, instead of redoing that other driveway, which I always thought was a nightmare, watching people go up and down it all winter long. If they did put in the east driveway, the one that you had approved already.
There's 2 of them.
But not, I don't see why you need 2. If you were thinking about approving 1 driveway for 5, and all these driveways, all these lots are gonna be connected anyway.
So you're saying the one that's to the right?
To the east, on the east side of that.
Yeah, right there, yeah.
If you did that, now you've got a lot of extra room to graduate the grade.
So that's only gonna go for 2 lots though, right? That's only gonna be.
They're all connected anyway, aren't they?
Well, they would, yes, there's kind of a
got an
drive-through.
emergency,
Right, there, the emergency drive-through there.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they would be, yes.
Well, so my point is, so if you eliminate, since, by bylaw, you're only supposed to have 2 houses on it.
Right.
So you could have 2 houses on that, and then essentially have the existing houses being serviced by the existing driveway. And make that access more presentable. You could get, you guys can
Well, I
have.
I know what he's saying, so instead of,
Yeah, but what I'm saying is you do the one to the east and then you leave the other one alone, because it's been servicing 4 houses
Right.
as it is. You don't do nothing to it.
oh,
Well, obviously, if you could do something to, even like you said, stone walkway to get on one side of it would be helpful, right, to walk down.
So where are the 4 houses that it is now? You said it was a workshop? You got a house that you,
they called it a workshop up there, yes.
It's a legit house.
But they lived in it.
Is there actually
Yeah.
a septic system in that house?
Which one?
The workshop.
No.
So it's not really a house?
No, it's
Yeah,
not.
it's
Well,
going on lot 2.
Oh, okay.
We're moving it.
Right.
Mr. Chairman, although I appreciate the roundtable, I don't think this is a public hearing right now. And I think that we have other things we need to try to figure out here. Bill, first of all, if I may, what is our task here? What are we being tasked with?
We've just been asked to comment on this plan.
Okay. So, this is gonna be a stupid question and make me look pretty stupid, but how did we approve this with the 2 driveways that are so steep? Did we waive something?
Oh, they're showing that the first 50 feet at 6% grade,
That's all that needs is the first 50 feet?
first 50 feet, yeah. That's why we approved it. And you can service 2 lots with 1 driveway. You only have to go to the ZBA if you want more than 3 lots to be serviced
Right,
by 1
right.
driveway.
I knew that part, I was just confused about the steepness of the driveways.
I think, again, my opinion, like I said, I can't speak for everybody. I think if you go and get something on a plan and on paper that you can present to both this board and the ZBA, and the engineer can explain what the grades, what the finished grades are gonna be, and if you can have room for the mailboxes and the trash receptacles and either a stone path or something for the kids to walk down to the bus stop, I think, you're gonna be a lot further ahead than we are right now, because we're just talking about what's the possibilities are without knowing what could be done.
So, Mr. Chairman, I could just interject, just so I'm clear again on what Mr. Jolda was saying. He described that the existing driveway, he has opposition to the existing driveway being used as the main entrance or egress point for this whole project. So my question would be, exactly what is it about it that, I believe you called it a horror show. What exactly is it about that driveway that?
Well, with the steepness of it.
Right, but we just talked about that we would have them regrade that, so that would mitigate that, so
Well,
what
no,
else?
Can't get a bridge in edgewise.
I'm not sure how you're gonna move that much dirt to lower the grade. I know you can waive 6%, but,
He's just afraid from my house, if I'm going down and then there's ice, I'm gonna end up in the kitchen of his house.
well, you're increasing the flow. I mean, I've lived, like I said, I've lived there for 40 years, I've seen, and there's always somebody that's maintaining the driveway. You apparently got the short straw right now, but, and it's changed from one side to the other. But, I mean, at times, you can't get up that driveway. I mean, there was an ambulance, tried to get up, he only got up 50 feet. And they had to carry a woman, who was stricken at about 100 feet through the snow. They actually had to call the highway department to plow behind it. I mean, it's pretty steep. I put a 10-foot piece of box sheet metal, and it's from 10 feet, it drops 2 feet. That's 20%.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to see what an engineer could show us, that the
okay.
grade could be improved too, before we speculate that it's,
Get it engineered and let's take a look at it.
But if you had that as a driveway, now you could reduce the flow on that driveway, make it safer for the kids. And I don't know, to me, I think it's a liability issue for the town. If you're adding, you know, you have bylaws and you're gonna supersede the bylaws.
Well, it wouldn't be superseding it, it would be a variance. They would be asking for a variance, and that would come from the ZBA, not from the planning board.
Yeah, well, again, whatever, still the town would be liable if you have more people there using that steep grade, and somebody T-boned somebody else or got T-boned.
We don't know what the grade is until it's designed, so.
If I may, just uninterrupted, a lot of the stuff we're talking about right now is all zoning board stuff, not for the planning board. I really appreciate what the owner group is doing, is taking into consideration the children's safety, of course, is first. I think that's great. And I also think the idea of respecting any future buyer's privacy up here in the hills is also good, and just the impact on the environment by cutting down a bunch of trees usually. So I approve all that, I applaud all that. I think it's in the best interest of anybody to speed this along. The ball's kind of in your court. I mean, you've got two options here, I think both of them are good. The first one is taking that existing drive and trying to make it better to serve all 5 houses, or the other one is taking that east driveway and making it better. I think we're all fooling ourselves if we're gonna get anywhere down from the 15 or 16% grade. I mean, we have a topographical plan right here, we can see what's going on. You're not gonna do it. You're gonna be able to get the first 50 feet or whatever to the 6.5, and after that, it is what it is. How do you make those safer? It's maintaining them. It's just clearing the snow, clearing the ice, and doing our best to maintain them, making sure that the stormwater and any snow buildup is being taken care of and directed properly. But I think that the general feedback from the planning board, if I'm hearing, or from my point of view, I'm not gonna speak for the rest of the board, is I would choose whatever option is best for you. We appreciate taking the safety of the kids into consideration, everything, and then just come back to us with what you're planning on doing, what you think the best route is, and then, correct me if I'm wrong, Bill, come to us first and then the zoning board, or would the zoning board still have authority on this?
Well, the ZBA has to issue a special permit, and they can do it with or without a planning board opinion. But it might be nice to come back to the board, so the board can weigh in on the actual plan.
Certainly, with the courtesy to the board to.
we would like to hear, input. That's why we asked for you guys to look at it tonight. So it doesn't really make sense for it to come back to us immediately, because we're gonna be sitting there and saying, hey, what did the planning board think of the new plan? We don't know, right, so my recommendation would be, they get their drawings done, you guys look them over. If you guys like what you see, kick it back to us and we go from there. And I'll try not to bother you again.
No bother, we appreciate the consideration, departments working together, I think it's great.
All right, so you guys have your direction? Okay.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody for coming. All right. Through there.
I appreciate it.
Okay, going back to our agenda, we got inspections and actions associated with site plans. So we got Legacy Landing, Country Club Acres, SEP Solar, Oxford Avenue, JD&D, Oxford Avenue, Stevens Mill, and the solar project on the landfill.
I do have a,
He's just.
He runs around.
Sorry, guys, could you go out in the hall? Thank you.
I do have a report on, STEP Solar Project on Oxford Avenue.
On Oxford Avenue?
Yes,
Okay.
the one sort of up by the Oxford Town line. So that extension is set to expire this month. So I contacted the engineer, and he sent me back an email saying that construction is essentially complete. They're planning to close out the permits in the spring once the site is fully stabilized. So he asked whether we would need another extension, and I said I didn't really think so. If the project is complete and they're just waiting for the spring to close it out, then there's really no need for an extension. But if you feel that, you'd like to give an extension, I would, let him know, and you could actually, vote on it tonight if you thought that was necessary, but.
It's a pleasure.
When did this start? When did this project start? Year-wise, anyway?
It was approved before I started here, so that goes back to 2019, but it waited a couple of years before it actually started. I think it was 2021, thereabouts. 21 or 22.
Starting construction.
I don't know, I seen rehydro seed up there, so they're just waiting for grass to grow.
That might not happen until springtime. I personally think we should give them an extension for another 6 months, or at least until the spring. And then,
Yeah, let's go end of spring.
in case they have to do something up there, they're not working illegally, they're covered. So, would everybody be in agreement to that we give them a 6-month extension, so that, you're saying it runs out in December, so that would cover them until June, basically? And they should be able to get grass to grow by June, I would think.
You have a formal request for this? I'm sorry, Mr. President.
No, this was just, I told him I didn't think an extension would be necessary, so he didn't submit one.
Okay.
But,
But you could ask them
I
to
could,
submit.
well, you could just grant it if you thought it was,
We could just vote on it?
yeah.
Okay.
Need it, right?
So all
though? If
permits
it's
were
not gonna be done till
closed out,
spring?
right? All his permits were signed off.
Yes.
You wanna make a motion that we,
Make a motion for Oxford Ave Solar to give him a 6-month extension.
we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Yeah, for the good of the order, I'm not sure that, how can we vote on something that's not brought before the board, per se? I don't know if that doesn't seem kosher somehow. Without an applicant coming here and asking for something, or at least requesting something, we're just gonna grant on our own authority what he may or may not want, I don't know. So just for that reason alone, I'll vote against it.
Okay. So, three yes, 1 no. Anything on the planner's plate, Bill?
Couple of things. Do you know where Jean Street is? It's sort of in that same area as the project we just looked at. I received a phone call today from the owner of that property, which is here. This is Jean Street, and there's I think there's four fourplex units here
Oh, yes, around the pond.
around the pond.
Yeah.
He wanted to, he's thinking about asking to change the name of Jean Street. So he wanted me to bring it up tonight to see whether you'd be amenable to that.
Well, he has to just get all the owners from the road to agree, and then they can change it.
No, I think you gotta go to town meeting and get the road name changed.
No, I think the planning board can change it.
Really?
Yeah, we did that once before, remember, for Causeway Shores Road and Causeway Street?
I thought that went to town meeting.
No.
But
Not
it's
for a
all the
name
owners
change.
have to agree.
Well, that'd be a selectman thing, wouldn't it? Aren't they the road commissioners?
It could be, it could be, although I'm thinking it's a planning board matter, I'd have to research to figure out who has the authority to change the name, but it doesn't need to go to town meeting for it.
I thought all the residents on the road had to agree on name change.
Well, that would be my concern, because if you change the name of the street, then
You have to
all
change your
those people have to change
licenses,
Their
everything.
addresses and,
all their billings,
Yeah.
their mailings.
why did they wanna change the name?
So I told him I'd bring it up tonight, and if you wanted, and he'd be willing to attend the next meeting if you wanted to have a more formal discussion with him.
And you think this is on our purview?
I don't think it is. You're changing people's billing, licenses, gun licenses. You're
So
changing everything on that road.
he owns I guess it's a subdivision, and he owns the buildings.
So everybody that lives there.
If he owns the
are renters.
subdevelopment, he can call it whatever he wants.
So everybody that lives there are renters, basically.
I believe so.
Okay. So it's like it would be the same as if they moved.
Well, if you own the subdevelopment, you can call it road whatever you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but,
Because
you know,
that
it's,
happened on Bonner Road.
and I think
But
you'd have
once
to.
once the plan has been approved and the road's name is on record, being recorded, I think that precludes him from just calling it whatever he wants to. I think there
Yeah, I
has to
think
be some kind of
911
formal process
depends
to
on
go
that
through
kind
in
of-
order to get that
Right.
back on the record.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanna invite him in and ask him to explain it to us and why he wants to do it, and I guess that's the next step, right?
You have to look that up and see how that works.
Yeah.
I think it's a selectman thing.
Okay, I'll extend an invitation to him. The other issue was the open space and recreation plan. So the open space committee completed the plan, submitted it to the state. The state has to approve the plan, and they can request changes to the plan in order to grant their approval. And they came back with a letter that has a fair amount of work still to be done on the plan.
The state did.
The state did, right? So
Okay.
we have a conditional approval,
Okay.
but we can't receive any grants until all those changes are made that they've asked for. So I'm wondering how you would feel about using this year's LPA time
Central Mass Regional Planning
to give to them to be able to charge the work that's necessary to complete the
to
plan.
finish this.
Right.
I don't know if
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, we wanna get that done.
Yep.
Everybody in agreement?
Okay,
Do you need a vote then?
excuse me?
You need a vote for that? Would somebody like to make a motion that we, grant the Central Mass Regional Planning hours to be used for the, open space recreational plan?
I can make a motion of what you just said.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, unanimous? Okay,
That's it for the planner's plate.
all right. Next one is comments from the planning board?
Did I miss the conversation about item number 5 on the agenda?
Item number 5. Comments from the audience? Oh, yes, I'm sorry, you did. So the-
Can I get a quick recap? Sorry for
Sure,
making you
yeah.
guys do it again.
Go ahead,
Sorry.
give him the 50 cent.
So, we had, David had wondered whether he could rescind a vote that he made for the DMA site plan approval,
Yep.
based on some new information that came to light after the vote. So the board, as a whole, voted to ask town council whether a member could rescind a vote on a project that they had approved.
Okay.
And if so, what would be the consequence of that? And town council said, no, a member cannot change a vote after it's been made.
That's unfortunate.
And then, if there's a problem with the enforcement of the decision, then it's up to the zoning enforcement officer, in this case, the building commissioner, to enforce the bylaw, which could be, or enforce the decision. It could be things like a stop work order or whatever would be necessary to bring the project into compliance. But the original vote would stand, and then it can't be changed.
We have that in writing from town council. It was Jeffrey Blake Esquire, and it's in your book.
All right, thank you.
Right here. Yeah, was there anything else that we went over that maybe we should recap from? Oh, so, yeah, number 6, were you here for the discussion of the short-term rentals?
No, I'm good
Okay.
on that one.
Okay, so we're gonna have a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen on the 18th of December to go over this, and Central Mass Regional Planning is making some recommendations on either a town bylaw to be changed or implemented, or a zoning article to be implemented, and how these short-term rentals can be regulated, and how the town can also be able to collect some taxes on it.
Okay.
So that's coming up on the 18th. The next one we have on our agenda would be the comments from the planning board. Do we have any other comments? We don't have Mr. Clark here. He's usually our big commenter.
So can you put us on the town website on their calendar?
Sure.
When our meetings are?
What's that?
2nd and 4th.
Yeah.
Any other comments? Okay. Comments from the audience?
Did you want me to pull that up?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
just,
Wanted to know if you could put our agenda for our meetings on the town website.
no,
calendar.
they have like a calendar and tells you what date the meetings are.
Yeah, I think the Board of Selectmen's are on there, but I don't think ours are on there.
Yeah,
So if you could just add
everyone else is on
add
there.
ours onto it.
Hey,
Mr. Audience?
so I was just wondering if the board might, at some point, be willing to take up the idea of changing that regulation about the 6% grade, because that seems to come up more and more often as a difficulty for builders, developers, and looking at neighboring towns and what they're doing and what their regulations are. Dudley's very strict on the 6%, and it's very difficult to get to, and we've talked about this where we've seen time and time again where we've witnessed houses being built on lots and the driveway's clearly not 6%, and we're like, well, that's in violation, but it's still happening because
You get an easement after it.
exactly. But I mean, if you look at what other towns are doing for grades, I mean, just like a quick Google search, you can find like Town of Sterling Fire Department driveways and building access, 15% on straight sections, 8% on curves. Not sure what town this is, but there's another town showing don't allow anything over 20%. But maybe that's something that you could reach out to, like somebody like Jeff Walsh at Graves Engineering, because he works in so many different towns. So I remember when I was on the board a while back, he spoke about that he would be willing to work with the board if we wanted to go over some of the regulations, shore up some of the things where we're lacking regulations, and maybe take care of some things that might be antiquated, or like in this case, that just doesn't seem to fit the current.
When we implemented that, I was on the board, and I remember at the time, it wasn't, I don't believe it was Jeff Walsh, I believe we were using J&D Engineering out of Connecticut. And that's what they came up with for a recommendation.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at neighboring towns, just take a look. I mean, I don't know when I would have time to do it, but I might even see if you want, I might be able to put a table together.
I don't care what neighboring towns do. I don't see why neighboring towns are relevant, quite frankly. I mean, we had a perfect example here tonight where a gentleman is worried about cars going across the street, slipping on ice and going to his front yard. If you don't have that 50 feet, which I think should be more, of 6.5%, there's no chance at all of braking or having any kind of a halfway flat area for cars not to go flying out into roads. So for me, it's a matter of safety, and it makes perfect sense, and if other towns aren't doing it, that's their problem, not mine. You know, if a site can't meet the 6.5%, then it's not buildable.
And yet,
Again, I'm not the
you could
enforcement.
throw a rock and,
Yeah, I'm
you know.
not an enforcement official, and I don't know when these things were built or whatever else, so, I mean, we have enforcement officials, and that's the avenue to go through if they're not meeting the current standards.
And it's the highway superintendent who goes out and cites the driveways, because the curb cuts come out of the selectman's office, so he's their representative. He's supposed to be the one that's inspecting the driveways.
He inspects and signs off the driveways.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other thought, which probably will go over like a lead balloon, came to mind because of this common driveway thing. A while back, we talked about trying to shore up our common driveway standards, and it failed. But
Failed twice.
the problem is, when you aren't willing to take up the burden of beefing up those regulations, you leave it wide open. So it's the Wild West of common driveways is what we've got going out there right now. So, might be something again, maybe the board could revisit that. I challenge you, get a hold of your copy of your subdivision control regulations for the town of Dudley and your zoning regulations for the town of Dudley, go through them cover to cover like I did, and try and find the word common driveway in there. There's barely anything in there for regulations. It's kind of like the Airbnb thing. There's nothing in there for Airbnb. Well, you're gonna address that. That's great. But we got the common driveway thing. It's like, there should be stipulations in there for that, and there's just nothing. It's,
We tried to do it twice, and it got shut down both times, so. Or just one person.
Take it to the streets.
take it to the streets, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm in agreement with you, but if the town doesn't wanna vote for it, this,
Got shut down twice with, the same person stood up and said, we're taking away personal individuals' rights by making common driveway bylaws, so.
Well, I can't, my hope is that at some point, you make your argument convincing enough that you overcome that one. All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so our next regular meeting will be January 10th. Our next joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen will be December 18th at 6:30, so note that that's a little bit earlier than not our normal 7 PM. And we did cancel our regular meeting that was scheduled for the 27th of December because it was very close to Christmas and New Year's. Approval of consultant vouchers. We have a Stonebridge Press voucher for, is it $102.90, Bill?
Yes.
Would somebody like to make a motion that we grant Bill the authority to pay the $102.90 to Stonebridge Press for the legal ad on the Housing Authority hearing?
So moved.
So moved. We have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
Gentlemen, we got a second invoice that came in today. It's on the next page.
Okay.
Under invoices from Quinn Engineering for the peer review.
It's on the next page.
They completed that earlier this month, and they submitted this invoice today. I know you haven't seen it yet, but I thought I'd put it in your pack to see whether you would go ahead and approve it now. They did a very, capable job on that review.
Okay, I don't seem to have that, but if you could tell me what the amount is, I think we can
Under
vote.
there's a tab called invoices,
It's under invoice? Oh, sorry.
and it'd be the second sheet.
Sorry, or I'm not so used to it being so organized. Okay, so we have an invoice from Quinn Engineering, and this was for the peer review of the Dudley Housing Authority's public hearing. So the total bill for them was $1,539. Would somebody like to make the motion that we approve the bill to pay the invoice to Quinn Engineering?
I'll make a motion to pay Quinn's Engineering $1,539.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second for discussion.
Second? Go ahead.
Doesn't this have to be on the agenda?
thank you.
Typically, I leave it open-ended, I have approval of vouchers, payment of bills. If I know them, I put them down.
It says vouchers.
I think that's the whole point of being on the agenda, is everybody gets everything last minute, the board doesn't have a chance to look at things. This happens often with A&R plans and other plans where they're being thrust on us last minute. And we've had even some of the bigger projects, we've thrusted stuff on us last minute. And this shouldn't be allowed. There should be some kind of a time, because the planning board, to come to a meeting and have to review everything for the first time is basically making us unprepared. So I'm in agreement with Mr. Durgan. My only, concern's the wrong word, but my only exception maybe is that we're not meeting in 2 weeks, and therefore we can't vote on this for another 4 weeks, which would make me tend to lean towards voting for it, even though it's not on the agenda.
We could put it on the agenda for the 18th.
Sure.
Would you accept that?
I just wasn't sure if it had to be on the agenda, so.
Well, the agenda says approval of consultant vouchers and bill payments.
If that's all right with you guys, I'm fine with it.
Okay. It's either we vote it now or we vote it on the 18th. What's your pleasure?
Vote it now.
Okay.
No, it's gonna be the same thing.
All right, so, again, we got a motion. Do we have a second? You said a second for discussion?
Yeah, still second.
So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
To adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye, unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good night.